with what we were talking about earlier, a reminder that God is restoring and He is going to give you back everything that you have lost. And of course, allow me to just read a beautiful comment here. I'm saying, hi, we thank God because He answered my prayer for the transfer. But the unfortunate thing is that I was transferred to a place I had not applied. I'm seeking redirection. Kindly stand with me in prayer. So there's, I think, someone who had messaged us and just telling us that they are praying for a transfer and God did it, but now it was in a place where they never thought. And I believe that even if you're watching us this morning, just know that God will never lead you astray. So if He has led you to this particular place and you pray about it, you seek redirection, but you find yourself still there, look at it as God's plan for you. And now begin to ask the Lord, what do you have for me in this place? Is this territory mine? What should I do to rest in it and know that it is your perfect will for me? So we shouldn't always fight when things happen to us and we feel like it's not what we planned, because a man plans, but the Lord orders their steps. So I would encourage you, pray about it, seek redirection as you have mentioned, but all the same, do not fight what is God's plan for your life. If at all you realize that there's nothing that is changing, nothing that is shifting, then accept it and continue to stay there, because I believe that the Lord has a purpose for putting you there. So we pray for you and we pray that God will redirect your steps. And if it is His will, I decree and declare that He will give you the grace that you need to stay in that place and to flourish right where you are. So also, I would love to read this comment. Thanks for the word. Very, very encouraging. Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful messages. God bless you so much. And at this point, we're going to look at the newspaper so that now we can have an insight into what is happening in our nation today. And I'm going to look at the Daily Nation. I'm also going to look through the Standard. This is just looking at the highlights. We may not go deep into it, but I will be telling us the highlights of today's newspapers. So the Daily Nation has a headline here, push for Ruto. Uhuru truce goes ahead to tell us that Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed brokered the talks in Addis Ababa on the sidelines of the two-day 39th African Union Summit that closed on February the 5th. And it goes ahead to tell us this is a source privy to the talks that the president told Prime Minister Abiy that he had done all within his powers to embrace Mr. Kenyatta in retirement, but all that had proved futile. Quite interesting. And more information on that, it says President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta in recent years have had frosty relations that never thawed even after the 2022 power transfer. Lately, the tension between the two former allies turned rivals has only eased twice, albeit through short-lived public shows of camaraderie in 2024 and also 2025. Last weekend, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed tried to unite the duo. Will the truce hold? And that's the question that we are seeking to answer. Page 4 to 5 is where you can get the full story. State House, Sakaja signed deal to run Nairobi City. And I think this is something we had covered last week, where Sakaja, the Nairobi governor, was reaching out to President William Ruto to sort out some of the things that Nairobi is facing. It says here today that President Ruto and Governor Johnson Sakaja witnessed the signing at State House of a cooperation agreement to improve services in key sectors of the county, but insisted the arrangement did not mirror the Nairobi Metropolitan Service style takeover of functions in 2020. You can find the full story on page 23. Page 2 is covering counting heavy losses after airport workers strike. Page 3 is covering proposals to relax rules on licensing teachers. And finally, page 7, ex-soldiers among 33 new Kenyan recruits for Russia war. That's a story that has been covered there on the Daily Nation. And when we look at the Standard, also, I'm going to be looking at the highlights, just the top page, to see what is the main focus of the Standard newspaper. So as we look at the Standard newspaper, I'm seeing putting city on sale is what is taking the headlines. And I think it mirrors what we have just looked at on the Daily Nation. It says Governor Johnson Sakaja's dramatic handshake with the President William Ruto has sparked off a political storm in the capital. After vowing to make Nairobi work, the youthful politician now stands accused of quietly surrendering core county functions to the very center he once promised to challenge. Critics see echoes of the old NMS takeover. Allies call it pragmatic rescue, but for residents choking on garbage, traffic, and water shortages, the 80 billion shillings deal feels less like collaboration and more like an auction. This is a story covered on page 4 and 5. The question being, is Sakaja surrendering Nairobi to, to the state? And we don't know what that will look like. So definitely a lot of conversations on that, but we shall get to the bottom of it even as we continue to follow up. On the enterprise pullout, it's covering services sector, why it's best for jobs development. So you can look at that story just in more details. And moving on, as we look at maybe the Business Daily, just a little bit to see what the Business Daily is covering as its top story. I'm seeing here that Kenya seeks ID cards from Elon Musk's Starlink users. Quite interesting. Says verification will curb internet-based crimes, and also digital rights groups raise surveillance and privacy concerns. Moving on, I see industrialists step up to push for a lower electricity cost. We have also investors bid 400 billion shillings in recent bond and treasury bills sales. A quote here by Nderitu Mureithi on the intelligence beat. It says smallholder farmers benefit from using collective action models such as cooperatives as well as companies. The Life pull out this wonderful morning is a story here saying she quit medicine, became a mechanic, and built thriving vehicle inspection businesses. Quite interesting. You should look at that story. From a medic to a mechanic, I mean, I would also love to peruse through that and see what's happening. But anyway, that brings us to the end of our brief newspaper review, just to tell us the highlights and to also encourage us to keep praying for this wonderful nation of ours, Kenya. The elections are coming forth very quickly, so let us keep praying that the Lord will order our steps, the Lord will help us, so that even as we elect these leaders, we will choose the people that the Lord has also chosen for us. So allow us to have a look at the video of the day now.